Okay. So what I thought I could do was to try to show you something that I came across yesterday that I thought was pretty cool that we could use in Raz Kids that might actually give us some feedback. So it's creating an assignment for the kids. So as of now, all they've had is access to the level up, which is the level we assign them to, and the book room. So I thought I would show you something cool that I thought we could create was maybe just doing one assignment a week that goes along with one of those skills from Lorraine's presentation yesterday. So next week's skill is supposed to be characters, and that might not get addressed in the Scholastic News. So I was trying to think how we could do it without ruffling our routine too much because our routine's been doing so well. So here's what I came across. So I'm going to go to manage students once I log in, and that brings me to kind of like my home page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to reports because I cannot remember my kids' reading groups. If you do, then you're in much better shape than I am. So I'm going to just kind of go through and show you how you can recreate some groups that might make it easier to make your assignments. And then I'll show you how to assign. So I, for the life of me, couldn't remember everybody and where they belong. So I just am going to use the Raz Kids and kind of see where they're at. So what I'm going to do is after I go to the reports, I'm going to go to the level progress. And right now, it's just kind of like who's in progress, and there's really no rhyme or reason as to the way it's ordered. But I do want to look at their levels, and it's easier for me if they're leveled from like lowest to highest. So there's like a little arrow next to level, so I'm gonna click on that, and it gives me now all the children's names, but they're leveled in order. And just to remind you, because I was confused at first as well, is that the letters don't really correspond to Fontes and Pinnell. So what I did was using this and then kind of using my own judgment, I made 4 reading groups like I would in my classroom. And then I put my ELL students in a 5th group because they are on a completely different reading level. And I just did this for me by hand, but you might have a better way of doing it. I just did it, just sketched it out for myself so I could see the numbers in each group and seeing like where they were. And then I put like a letter range as to what they were. So for instance, like I looked at Adrita, Molly, and Will, and they all were kind of in the same ballpark here. And this percentage doesn't mean that that's how, that's like they're correct. It just means that this is how much of that level they've completed. So for instance, Adrita's finished 100% of V and she's just starting on W. So I kind of grouped them by that for myself and just did it on a piece of paper because I figured I could keep it close and handy if I ever was making an assignment. The reason why I'm recreating those guided reading groups isn't because I plan on doing guided reading in the least, but just so that when I assign a book, it's going to be at their just right reading level and it's not too easy and not too hard. Then what I'm going to do is after I group my kids, or if you don't need to group them because you already remember, or you don't want to group them at all, that's totally fine too. You can go to assignments and you can get to assignments here, you can get to it there. This shows you, this assignment just is going to show you the assignments that you've assigned. And I kind of started playing around with them, but I probably will delete them. I just wanted to see if it worked before I did my video. So I'm going to go to assignments here on our blue band. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go to browse our resources. What this does is that we can type in a skill in the search resources band, and it will bring up every one of their books in the Raz Kids, every single one of their books that falls under that skill. So next week is characters. So I'm just going to type in characters and hit return. And you can see even before I do, there's a ton of different, even more specific skills that I can get into. I'm just trying to play around to show you. So now what I can do is you can see that there's 93 books that they have that can go along with characters. So that's when I had my little sheet handy that had my groups and kind of the leveled range that they were at. So, so for instance, if I was looking at that group of Adrita, Will, and Molly, they were on like U, V, that's kind of where they were. I can go over on this side and I can click on U to W. And I can look through and see if there's any of these books that might work to fit in with that skill. And since we're trying to look at fiction, I'm going to sneak on to this, which is called Scratching a Good Story. I'm going to click on it. And I can click through it if I wanted to. If I wanted to read it, I can read the little blurb. And if I think that's a good fit, I can hit assign. And what I can do is I can go through and I can click each of the students that I want. Or you can see that I did a group creation. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you have two different choices. I just did this because I figured and I assigned Adrita, Will, and Molly to a blue group so that if I click on the blue group, it clicks the kids that I want. Okay, so you can go through and do it yourself and just click on it if it's easier, but I'll show you how to create groups in a minute. And then when you have the kids that you want, you can just click assign and it assigns them. And I'll show you what it looks like on the kids end in a minute also. Okay, so I could go back and I could assign like another book. So say my other group is around an S, and I can scroll through and this one's perfect. It's a level S. I can read through it and then I can click assign. And then I can decide whether if I wanted to just click the names of the kids that I wanted to do that. I also, one thing I didn't show you was that you can choose whether you want them to listen or maybe you don't want them to listen. You can, and then then read it then themselves and take the quiz. And there's also like the typing if you want to include that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I want to go back because I want to show you if you wanted to create the groups, because I was playing around with that yesterday. If you wanted to create the groups, you could. So I want to show you how you can create groups to make it easier for you if you did like an assignment each week. Okay, so I'm going to go to reports again. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to my classroom, and on my class roster, it's going to bring me here, and you won't have any groups unless you've already done it before. So what you can do is you can first decide who is going to be in your first group. So if I was just starting to create my groups, which I already did because I was playing around to make sure that I could teach you how to do it, I could do Molly, I could do Will, and I could do Adrita. And then what I do is after I click on them, I click on this little pencil next to group. And you can see I already had some groups, but all you'll have to do is type and you can say blue group, and then you would hit add. Obviously I can't do that because I already have it. So you would hit add and then it would create that group for you. So let me just click off of that. And then it would create that group for you. So I'm going to unselect all. I'm going to show you how to do it one more time with a different. So for instance, I have like my example ones. So say I have my two examples. This one's Owens. And I want to click here. I can type in here and I can write Brown group, and then I could hit add. Obviously it's already there. And that would add those particular students to that group. So that's how I created groups if you're interested, but just to remind you, you don't have to do that. So remember, to create an assignment, I can go to assignments, I can browse my resources, I can type in my skill for the week, which is characters, and then I can go over here. I have nobody in that, I meant to click on that, and I can find a book within that level, and if I want to assign it, I click assign. And since I have my groups now and I remember, my blue group is the UVs, I can click there and then hit assign. I wanted to show you what it would look like on the kids end when I do it. I think it would be good to share it in morning meeting, just to show the kids that I want them to do their assignments first before they do anything in the level up or in the reading room when they're doing Raz Kids. And I'm going to tell them that that information comes back to me so that I can help them. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to hit, this is just Owen, so Train and Plain is his. And when I go, his dashboard looks a little different. Before it was just level up and reading room, but now he has an assignment. So I've been playing around with his. So he has 2 assignments in there because I was assigning some different ones. And I left on the listening and the reading. So he can do either one of these first, and he can click on it. And then that's, as soon as it's submitted, it sends it right back to me to let me know how he did, because most of the questions are going to be geared toward like character analysis. So that's just one way we can kind of hone in on, excuse me, the skills. So I hope this isn't too overwhelming. I just thought if it was food for thought, and that if you were interested in doing it, you could. But even if the assignments weren't there, it would still be, just as wonderful. And I don't think that it makes a big deal if they have an assignment or they don't. I just wanted to put it out there. That's kind of what I got from yesterday's in-service. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.